6:30 to go and get food. We're going to be starting here shortly, so if you're ready to be.
Thank you, ancestors. I am Dr. Giovanni Bennett. Also, Giovanni. Thank you, students. Thank you, students. Thank you, staff, Louisville staff, faculty. We're going to get specific as we go, but I'm doing a general. Thank you, donors. Thank you, Women's Center past and present staff, community members. Thank you to everyone who helped and helping to make this event possible, because it's a living organism as we speak. We are here. We are here online and offline. Thank you to the live streaming and tech team, which includes our amazing Jamaica Jones. Yes. Thank you to our amazing DJ. And this is a day after my birthday, so keep doing the thing. Birthday, New Year. Thank you to Marion Vassar, Assistant VP for Inclusive Excellence and Belonging. Thank you to all our sponsors, the Commission on the Status of Women, the Anne Brayman Institute for Social Justice Research, and Louisville alumni. Thank you. We gratefully acknowledge that this land that we are on right now, which we work, learn, discover, and connect, is a territory of the Cherokee East, Osage, And forgive me, ancestors, if I mispronounce any names that you would have said, what is she saying? Mayaki, Shani, Kaskaskia, Hopewell culture, and Adina culture, Native and Indigenous peoples, as well as those communities who make their home here today. We are grateful to them for the generations of stewardship, strength, and resilience in protecting this geographic site right here. We also give strength and peace to everyone in this room and outside these walls who are working on diverse social justice work. And shout out to those on the front lines for trans folks and children's lives. We see you and we love you. 30 years, y'all. 30 years. Yes, 30 years. We gonna go deep. Let's celebrate. Let's co-create. Let's strategize. Let's keep joy and rest alive. The intentions of this event is to have fun. Fun is good. Pleasure, yes. Celebrate our history of the center, as well as recognize the women, femmes, and non-binary folks who are currently doing a thing, making collective impact in our diverse communities across Kentucky in their fields, and they are working together for justice at their different intersections, different parts, just different parts. We are all our parts. We are not perfect. We are not perfect. We call each other in with love. Like bell hooks, Octavia Butler, and Ann Braden would tell us to do. And talking about calling us in and expanding the work, please use the QR code on your table to access ways to donate to our scholarships for students. You will also see on the QR code on our table near the bread and butter, you'll see the bios of our amazing awardees. The people in this room are dynamic, period. You'll see the bios and also about the event participants, and to also complete the program evaluation forms. That's very important because we want to learn at the Women's Center. If this is the first time you're hearing about the Women's Center, or you've known about the Women's Center for 30 years, we want to know how to get good, better, best, collectively, of course. Also, how can we connect with each other authentically in this space and beyond this space and date? And how can we do it with deep pleasure? How can we have fun? You know, just fun, being together, that's it. We have so many people to thank, but first, can we get a round of applause for the current Women's Center's team who put this together? Jamaica we have the amazing spoken word poet, so many hats, and also the community arts manager, Brianna Thornton! I can follow me.
Oh, take a picture of that and send it to me. Again, my name is Brianna Thornton. I'm the community arts manager at the Kentucky Center for Performing Arts. And when Giovanni reached out to me, if you know Giovanni, she said, I just want you to show up in the space. You see, whatever you need. And I was like, okay, like what am I going to talk about? What am I going to, and she's, telling me, talk about this, you can talk about your work, and you can talk about family. And I said, okay, my family. And I was like, oh, the women. Yeah, okay. My mom, the people that raised me, the people that got me here. So this poem is dedicated to them, the women in my family. First of all, wait a minute. Y'all familiar with spoken word, right? You know, you snap, you hear something you like, amen. I need all of the energy. I'm so nervous, like I didn't eat. And you know what I mean. But I didn't eat because I was nervous, so here we go. They say, you can tell a lot by a woman from the company she keeps, or you can look at a woman's mother and see who she is, what she does, or who she may become. And those quotes are as accurate as fake news because I look absolutely nothing like my mother. And although I am not quite a mirrored reflection of my bloodline, I am a beautifully blossomed flower rooted by all the women from my family tree. See, the women in my family are God's forgotten miracles, and yet they are still the answered prayers. The women in my family pray. They are the Marys and Marthas, holding gospel and scriptures in the pits of their bellies for when the morning is long and full. They are the hem of Jesus' garment because they have healed me on plenty of days. Yes. I have seen them take 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread to feed an apostle's worth of grandchildren. They are the waiting at the water. They are the tree that shall not be moved. The women in my family are also the men in my family. They are the Samson and Delilah. They are the muscle and brains behind the operation. Taught me how to fight, how to bring home the bacon. Taught me how to navigate my way in a world that keeps me lost and never found. They are the backbone and strength personified. Not by desire, but by necessity. They are the loud stereotype playing outside of your window because they are black women who are always strong. Who else gonna pay these bills, take care of these kids, get the job done? The women in my family be hustlers, movers and shakers, playmakers, quick fakers. I've seen them pay Peter to rob Paul to pay Peter, then rob them both to have money at the end of the month. The women in my family are financial advisors. Period. The women in my family are also comedians. Child, they knee-slapping, robust laughing women. Can find light in the darkness of moments. Smile so wide you can see the happy jumping from their mouths. And I feel like they laugh so much just to keep themselves from crying. Because ain't everything always been funny. And the women in my family gonna cook you a meal. Ain't nothing mac and cheese can't fix. Ain't nothing a caramel cake can't fix. Not too much, gotta watch my sugar. See, the women in my family are special. They've seen a lot. Some of the women in my family have seen Jim Crow fly high before his wings were clipped. They have tasted the bitterness of strange fruit, and it leaves your tongue swelling with numbness that can't be cured. The women in my family don't talk about the pain, the messy, the hurt much, but they keep a clean house. So clean that trauma makes you sweep things under the rug until you trip on. But as thunderous and resilient as the women are in my family, they have lived in silence and died silently. Because sometimes this life has a way of tripping you, have a way of stripping your voice and you never heard or never seen. And the women in my family, the women that were supposed to be broken and shattered glass by the hands of destructive men and racism and welfare and single motherhood and lack of education, somehow the sun managed to shine through stained glass windows. And I have watched the women in my family do incredible things I could never. They have given their blood, their sweat, and tears, given all they've got and gotten back nothing but heartache and a little bit of joy coming in the morning. They have followed so I could lead. They didn't have much, but what they had, they built a foundation that generations like mine can stand firm on. These ocean-like women over time were molded into quiet lakes, waterfalls forced into drought, but they gave birth. They gave birth to typhoons, hurricanes, tsunamis that will gladly drown anything standing in their path for them. Why would I be a settled stream when I was born to be waves crashing? The women in my family were taught that to exist, you must color inside the lines that America has made for people that look like us. But for them, I seek revenge and paint the town red for you. I go to war for you, for the fallen Valkyrie, for the fallen Amazons, fallen soldiers we have lost on the battlefield. I go to war for you. So glory, hallelujah, for the women in my family. Thank you, Minnie, and Ruby, and Evelyn, and Jenny, and June, and Carrie, and my aunties, and my cousins, and these beautiful women. When I look at my mother, I see where I come from. And when I look at my daughter, I am proud of where I'm going. But I learned from the women in my family that perfection don't look good on us. Don't waste time on small details, but remember the time. But remember to cry and to love, and time waits for no one. To laugh and smile so big that you can see the happy jumping from my mouth. And when you fight with all you got, and go down swinging. Thank God for the women in my family.
That deserves another room. That was wonderful. Good evening. My name is Michelle Rosems, and I am chair of the Commission on the Status of Women, a representative advisory body to the University of Louisville president on issues related to women and femmes at Louisville. On behalf of the Commission and the Women's Center, I would like to now announce the 2023 recipient of the prestigious Mary Kay Bonsteel-Tackow Gender Equity Award. The Tackow Gender Equity Award is sponsored by the Commission on the Status of Women and presented jointly by the Commission and the Women's Center. It is named in honor of Mary Kay Bonsteel-Tackow, constitutional scholar, the first woman to serve as chair of the U.S. History Department, and the first woman chair of the Faculty Senate, and as such, the first female of the U of L Board of Trustees. Dr. Tackow was active in pay equity struggles at the university and in many other issues both on campus and in the community, and she was well regarded by her peers. The Tackow Award is given to a recipient whose work promotes women's equality and gender equity, work that increases women's self-reliance, and or work that highlights women's contributions to all cultures and societies. The selection committee members here this evening are Barbara Bishop and Emily Spoden, and are joined by Vice Chair Jamie Jennings. Before naming our award winner, we would first like to acknowledge nominee Dr. Sherry Levinson, Associate Professor and founder of the EAT Lab in the Department of Psychological and Brain Sciences. Dr. Levinson established the only eating disorder clinic in Kentucky, which serves over 300 patients a year, and has also created the Kentucky Eating Disorder Council to bring statewide change to create equity in eating disorder care. And now the Commission on the Status of Women is pleased to give this year's Tackow Gender Equity Award to Professor Emerita Rifat Hassan.
Professor Tackow, in whose honor this award has been established. Some of the important things about my career here at Louisville have already been mentioned. When I got news of this award, what made me particularly happy was the fact that the struggle of women, especially of Muslim women who live in perhaps one of the most patriarchal cultures in the world, where women are, where the majority of women have three characteristics. They are poor, they are illiterate, they live in a village. And I started my work in 1974 when I started reading the Quranic text to find out what it really was saying. and I spent a decade interpreting the Quran from a non-patriarchal perspective, and I developed my feminist theology. But then, in 1979, there was the Iranian Revolution, and that had a spiraling effect throughout the Muslim world, and a lot of laws began to be established under a process called Islamization, which targeted women in very evident ways. And this led to a great rise in violence against women and the passing of all these anti-women laws, which reduced them in every way, physically, socially, politically, made them less than a full human being. And so I realized then, this was about 10 years after I started my scholarly theological study, that more needed to be done. So I undertook to travel, and I traveled across the world. And my goal was to talk to women, all women, but particularly to Muslim women, to tell them what their rights were, what their God-given rights were, which no man, no government would take away. And what makes me happy about this award is the recognition of the struggle of women and of the successes that they have had. I have no illusions that women, most women in the world, including Muslim women, still have a long, long way to go. They still have many mountains to climb. But I am very hopeful, and my hope is greatly renewed by my gratitude and the love that I feel for all of you for recognizing the value, the necessity of this struggle. So thank you very much. And I will continue my struggle as long as I'm alive. Thank you.
Nichols Committee. I'm going to ask the daughter of Celeste. I'm sorry. I'm going to also ask the daughter of Dr. Celeste Nichols to come up. Do that. The Dr. M. Celeste Nichols Award honors the legacy of Dr. M. Celeste Nichols Johnson, who was the first African American to receive a PhD in English from the University of Louisville. The committee met last year and selected the 2022 recipients, and today are recognizing them at this great anniversary occasion. So I'm going to ask the winners of the award, Michelle Gearing, to come, and also Abby Morwick, who's present today, and Jillian Purcell. She's not able to attend. She's doing attending a conference in Oregon. So I'm going to have the gentleman say something also.
Dr. M. Celeste Nichols was the first Black woman to earn a PhD from the University of Louisville's English department. Woo! And she wrote her dissertation on the Black church. And she told me that I would never really understand Black people until I went to Black church. So she took me by the arm and she took me to church. She was warm, giving, smart, driving, strong, capable woman, and I miss her.
Thank you. It's very kind words, and Greetings to each of you this evening, and I stand here in honor. But first of all, let me thank my mother's dear friends for honoring her legacy, for what she did, not only for the University of Louisville, but for the women that she engaged with on a daily basis. I was speaking with one of my dear friends. Her mother and my mother were very good friends, and they met they worked for Darrell T. Owens, and they became really, really good friends. And so mother had told me, I tried college, I did, and I'm an entertainer. My thing is arts. But one thing she told me, she said, Yvette, just go. And I said, okay, well, I'll go. So I went. And then I came back home. And so when I came back home, I did not know what I wanted to do. But she said, you have to do something, honey. So that meant I had to get out of the house. She said, when I leave, you leave. So I didn't know where to go. So the assistant pastor of my father's church, he owned a young shoe service. He owned a shoe shining service. And I asked for a job. And so I started working there after I left the university. And I came back and I told Mama, I said, Mama, I'm a shoe shine woman. And she said, what? I said, I'm a shoe shine woman. And she said, honey, whatever you choose to do, you be the best at it and make it legal. And I said, yes, sir. So that started my journey of life. But let me share with you some of the stories. One story that I in particular remember was when she told me how she grew up in a loving home. And it started with her mother. And my grandmother loved her. My mother was the baby of the family. And her brothers and sisters adored her. But mother was a very quiet, very reserved, stately woman. I wish I could use the big words like my brother used. And he's a graduate of Howard University, but nevertheless, follow along. But she loved people. And when I say she loves people, she brought the best in you that you didn't know that you even had. So I bring you joy, I bring you peace, I bring you with joy and love. I thank you for honoring my mother, Dr. M. Celeste Nichols.
These are our winners for 2022. So we really did awesome.
Okay. Good afternoon, moving as much as you all. Actually, good evening. As much as yes. My name is Michael Morales. I am the program coordinator of the Hispanic Latinx Indigenous Initiatives. Super excited to be here with you all. And so I am here today. So awardees will stand or raise their hand from your table to be acknowledged for your life's work as a community people of Kentucky. Everyone was not able to join us tonight, but we will still acknowledge and learn from their impactful and collaborative effort in our community. We thank you for your love for community. We thank you for your love for communities across Kentucky and your innovative ideas. Audience, please hold your applause until the end. We invite you to learn about the awardees in the program brochure using the QR code. And so with that, I'm going to say each person's name here, and then we're going to see the slide here above. So let's see. So the first one is Taylor Ryan. Taylor Ryan is acknowledged tonight for being an inclusive leader and is the executive director and founder of Change Today, Change Tomorrow, a social justice leader for equity committed to justice-based practices to empower women, families, and Louisville, Kentucky. Next we have Nubia Bennett, who I've had the honor and the privilege of working with. And Nubia Bennett is an inclusive leader in the field of community leadership development, committed to empowering diverse organizations to become leaders in today's best practices. And I forget to be at the top, the DEI and Leadership Development Manager of Leadership Louisville Center, Nubia Bennett. And next we have Mahogany Mayfield, I apologize. Mahogany is Assist at Journals and Community Outreach Coordinator for the Speed Art Museum, is an inclusive leader in the field of the arts and culture, committed to increasing access to the arts and culture for diverse women and families. Mahogany Mayfield. And fourth, we have Sabine Nassim, who is the Chief Development Officer of Metro United Way, and is an inclusive leader in the field of community development and immigrant rights, committed to healthy neighborhoods for diverse women and families. Next we have Gretchen Hunt. Gretchen Hunt is the Executive Administrator of Louisville Metro Office for Women, an inclusive leader for gender equity, committed to advocating for survivors of intimate partner violence and human trafficking. Next we have Shauna M. Morgan. So Shauna is the Associate Professor of Creative Writing and Africana Literature and Director of Equity and Inclusion Initiatives in Teaching and Learning at the University of Kentucky. And is an inclusive leader in the field of creative writing and DEI, committed to elevating the stories of Black women and femmes across the diaspora. Next we have Christy Stevens. Christy Stevens is the GIS Coordinator Center for Neighborhoods and is an inclusive leader in the field of GIS, cartography and mapping, committed to elevating assets in the work by women and families. Christy Stevens. And up next we have Sophie Meyer. Sophie is a community advocate and is an inclusive leader for immigrant and refugee rights, committed to advocating for immigrant women and families. Next we have Sasha McCormick. Sasha McCormick is a cultural humility coach, an inclusive leader in the field of education and diversity, equity, and inclusion, committed to equity for Black girls and families. Sasha McCormick.
We are recognizing you. If you could stand up, the names that we've called already, if you could stand up and be a star, you are scattered throughout this space. If you do not feel comfortable standing up, you can raise your hand. But if you could stand up while we recognize you and remain standing, we will appreciate. If you feel comfortable.
You know, I don't have no problem.
This is your moment. Let people know who you are so they can recognize you, so they can work with you. Please stand up if you can. Hold up your finger if that is it. We want you. Thank you.
Please do you all just listen. There's quite some time for everybody to receive love and be recognized right. And yes. So next we have Ramona Dahlin. Ramona Dahlin is the Vice President, Community Engagement of Community Foundation of Louisville, an inclusive leader in the field of philanthropy and the arts, committed to equity-centered design and innovation for healthy communities in Kentucky. Ramona Dahlin. Next, we have Bernadette S. Hamilton. Bernadette is a retired administrator of JCPS options, magnets, advanced programs, and an inclusive leader in the field of public education committed to advancing the gifts and talents of girls through education. Next, we have Dr. Renee Maltina Anacampo. Dr. Campbell is the Executive Director, Phoenix Global Humanitarian Foundation, an inclusive leader in the field of social work and community development, committed to healthy, safe, and culturally vibrant neighborhoods for women and families. Next, we have Amanda Stahl. Amanda is the lead organizer and director of the Independent Seekers Project and is an inclusive leader in the field of disability justice, committed to gender equity for femmes and families with disabilities. Next, we have Harlena Trumbo. Harlena is a dance educator with Lincoln Performing Arts School and artistic director, Lanita Rockland School of Dance, an inclusive leader in the field of arts education and culture, committed to empowering girls through dance and performance. Harlena Trumbo. And then next, we have Jamila Ramadan, and Aya is actually up here. Help me with this? Okay, Aya. Sorry, I didn't realize that it was right here.
Hi guys, my name is Aya Namurdi. I am a student at the University of Louisville, and I will be translating this for my mother.
Yes.
Hold on. Okay guys, so بيحكوا عنك بيحكوا عليك الصدق انه انت ولدت المركز الثقافي عشانك دائما بتعملي لهم اكل and stuff like that. Sorry y'all.
No, you're doing it.
My Arabic is acting up. Sorry about that. So the second part الثاني بيحكوا انه انت قائدة شاملة في المجتمع الجماعي ملتزمة بتوفير مساحات للتنمية والانتماء في المركز الثقافي والعدالة في الجامعة.
So, listen, anytime you're celebrating people of color, never put in your instructions to hold your applause together. People are never honored, ever. Don't do it. Our next honoree is Nyree Clayton Taylor. She is with HHN12 Incorporated. She's an inclusive leader in the field of education and social justice, youth development, and is committed to the empowerment of girls through the arts and community collaboration. Our next honoree is Cassandra Webb. Cassandra is the director of the Place of Promise Initiative of Cities United and is an inclusive leader in the field of community development, committed to co-creating healthy and sustainable neighborhoods for women and families of all ages. Next we have Dr. Brandy Kelly Pryor. She's the assistant professor at the University of Louisville School of Public Health and Information Sciences, and is also the founder of BKP Strategies. She's an inclusive leader in the field of health equity and is committed to wellness and health for women and families. Next, we have Tawana Bain. All right, Tawana, there she is. Tawana is the CEO of T. Bain and Company. She's an inclusive leader in the field of journalism and DEI, committed to elevating women and femmes in leadership. Next, we have Stacy Bailey Njai. She's the executive director of Bridge Kids Organization, and she's an inclusive leader in the field of international relations and is committed to empowering cross-cultural exchanges for Black women and girls. Next, we have Tiff Duncan. Tiff is the co-chairperson for Kentuckians for the Commonwealth and is an inclusive leader in the field of disability justice and political education and is committed to advancing accessibility for women, femmes, and non-binary folks. Next, we have Kristen Williams. Kristen is with Clay Cousins Collective and serves as the executive director. Kristen is an inclusive leader in the field of family and community wellness and is committed to empowering Black women and families. Next, we have Alice Grace Stites. Alice is the museum director and chief curator of 21C Museum Hotels. And is an inclusive leader in the field of fine arts, committed to elevating the art by women, femmes, and non-binary folks. Next, we have Marta Miranda Straub, who is the founder and president of Catapult Now, LLC. Marta is an inclusive leader in the field of creative writing and is committed to elevating the stories of women and femmes. Next, we have Stevon Edwards. Stevon is with Chenault Solutions and is an inclusive leader in the field of organizational leadership and diversity, equity, and inclusion, and is committed to empowering diverse organizations to become leaders in diversity, equity, and inclusion. All right, next we have Teresa Reed. Teresa serves as the Dean of the Music School of Music at the University of Louisville and is an inclusive leader in the field of music education and is committed to elevating the music by women and femmes. Next we have Dawn J. Wilson. Dawn is a commissioner, a Juneteenth commission, is the chair, wait a minute, what is this? Chair of the Education Committee, and serves on Louisville Metro Human Relations Commission. Dawn is an inclusive leader in the field of sports and civil rights, committed to gender equity and social justice for all. Next, we have Nima Kulkarni. Nima is a state representative of the 40th Legislative District. Nima is an inclusive leader in the field of political science and advocacy work, committed to healthy neighborhoods for women and families. Elma Lucille Allen. Where do we begin with Miss Elmer? So Elmer is a ceramic artist and chemist who became the first African American chemist at Brown-Forman in 1966. Amber is an inclusive leader in the field of arts and culture and is committed to uplifting diverse voices in the arts, including women artists. And then our final pearl, if I can, I'm going to ask you all if we could take a moment of silence for the 30th pearl, who is Breonna Taylor. So I'll ask you to give a moment of silence and then we'll continue to read. And how befitting that Breonna is the 30th pearl. This is the Women's Center's 30th year anniversary, and Breonna Taylor would have been 30. So Breonna is known as a global leader of peace and justice. This is a title that she did not ask for, and certainly didn't deserve how she received this title. Her legacy has advanced the work of justice-based organizations around the world. And we thank Breonna for opening up the eyes of this city and this country. And I'm going to quit talking before I break down on you all. So we're just going to say happy birthday to Breonna Taylor, and Giovanni, y'all did the thing. Yes,
Everybody said she was joyful, she's loved.
Oh, yeah.
Like, y'all know Miss Mary. Let me
Yes, so I got so wrapped up, I forgot to ask all the pearls to come up for a picture. But yes, when you remember Breonna, definitely attached to joy. She was a happy person. So hang on to that part of her and continue the good work in her honor. So we can have all the pearls come up for a photo.
Now we are in another part. First of all, how y'all doing? Thumbs up if you feel like you're a part of an innovative community. Thumbs up if you feel that way. Alright? Thumbs up if you feel like there's at least one person in this room that you can create a project with, that you can share a story and an idea. Thumbs up if you feel that way. At least one person. Alright? Okay. So, well, tonight we are ready to learn from our city leaders. There will be 4 amazing people that are coming up here where we can learn a lesson how to be impactful. I'm saying word. Impactful. Okay. I'm learning too. So I'm going to be at the seat and I'm going to be open to have the impactful, meaning change. How to be impactful in our work in small and big ways. They are diverse. They are beautiful. I'm beyond grateful that they took the time to come here. We have an amazing student leader, Edison Pleasant, who's going to rock it out and lead us in this story. There will not be a Q&A section, so if you want to connect with them later, definitely do that, as well as the reason why there were 30 is because it's 30 years, that's why we have 30, and also why they were scattered around the room is because Louisville is one of the most segregated cities in the U.S. But on that land, there's incredible, amazing people that you can connect with. And if you feel siloed, if you feel like, oh, nobody's here in Louisville, I'm sorry. Your person's here. So that's why they were scattered. Like, why is she's over there? They over there. That's because that represents our city. And we gonna move beyond that, right? As we do the work. So let me not take too much time. And we are celebrating our sisters right here.
Hello. Hi, my name is Edison Pleasant. I'm a current senior at the University of Louisville. Nice to see you all. You all look beautiful today. I'm on behalf of the Muhammad Ali Scholars Program, which is in the Cultural Inequity Suite. So we're about to take in a new cohort, so we're very excited getting our people together. So I'm very excited about that. So we're going to welcome up the panelists for this section. I'm very excited. So if you're a part of the panel, go ahead and come on up. And then we're going to go ahead and get started. Yay!
Got y'all women with the melanin dripping, yellow and Leo and CBL dripping. In the back, tonight, 5G, cut on you, my girl, confident in period level. He was getting rich while she was in the level. down in the hall. I see it really young, looking like a jaguar.
Okay, so now that we have our wonderful panelists up here, can you please go? We're gonna go one by one, all the way down. Can you introduce yourself? Give us a little bit of background and your pronouns. Yes. We're gonna get you on microphone, so everybody here.
A really loud voice. My name is Dr. Kyla Story. I'm an associate professor at the University of Louisville. I teach classes in women's, gender, and sexuality studies at the university, as well as Pan-African studies. I'm also the Audre Lorde Endowed Chair in Race, Gender, Class, and Sexuality Studies at the university. I am a former podcaster. I had an 8-year running award-winning podcast known as Strange Fruit. On WFPL, and you can go to strangefruitpod.org to find the show. Yeah.
It's so good to see so many familiar faces in the room. I am Grace Several. I am the Chief of Civic Innovation Technology for Louisville Metro Government. Although I'm the outgoing chief, I will be leaving that position in April. It's lovely to be with you.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
I'm Karina Varillas. I am a very, very proud Latina. And I have the privilege and the most amazing privilege that I have in my life is to be part of the team of La Casita, of the circle of La Casita, and be surrounded by all the people here that have been part of my story, my professors that put all the seeds in my heart to start the revolution, because the revolution is feminist, or it won't be a revolution.
Wow.
I see your professor has this somewhere as well.
Yes.
So very, very glad as well to be surrounded by my sisters. And about me, I am just so very proud that today we are celebrating the 30th anniversary. It's going to be my 30th anniversary of being here in Louisville and to have met the most incredible women. I also see Cheryl LaRue, that is a really great piece of the Women's Center, and she and myself and other amazing sisters started a big movement of Take Back the Night. So very happy to see you guys.
Good evening, everyone. It's wonderful to see a packed house for this 30th anniversary. I am Kathy Dykstra, the Chief Possibility Officer, President and CEO of Family Scholar House, and President and CEO of our parent company, Family. And I'm honored to be here tonight.
Wonderful. Thank you, guys. So the first question would be for anyone who has the mic, what is inclusive leadership to you?
So when I think of inclusive leadership, I think of a person or a leader who ensures that their team, their community initiative, their students, all feel welcomed at the table, all feel able to participate in discussion. No one feels silenced, when I think of that. And embracing all of our various identities, I would see that as inclusivity and leadership. Wondering who would be at the table. The thing that stood out to me in the 30 Pearls just now is that I really don't recall being at a Women's Center event in which trans women were included. So I love this new dawn and this new day. And essentially, when I walked at this event tonight, I've actually I've been at U of L now 13 years, and the thing that I really loved was the inclusivity of just this event alone. One, like hearing Shanice, I love you, smile. I've never heard that at any university sanctioned event. I've never heard any good music, quite frankly. At any event that seeks to honor diversity, equity, and inclusion, that seeks to honor anything. So even something that we might see as trite or simple, there's an inclusiveness in there. I felt embraced when I walked in here. I felt like I got a big hug. There were things that were familiar. The inclusion of slam poetry and Rihanna. Yeah. Every time she does a poem, I break down and cry. But just even that, the ancestor veneration that Giovanni started off the event with, like that, those things are inclusive, right? Now, other folks would look at those things and those things are too expressly Black, or too expressly Latinx, or too expressly indigenous, and everybody, right? Because whiteness and cisness and straightness is seen as the universal, right? So that's how those experiences always get a voice at the table, always get a seat at the table, because the way that whiteness works in a white supremacist country is that whiteness serves as universality, and that's the problem. That's the problem from the beginning. So every time you go to any kind of university thing or anything that's deemed professional, it's elevator music, it's awkward silences, it's bland food, it's every CEO and anyone with a position of power is either male or cis or straight or white. So just taking this event tonight as an example of what inclusive leadership looks like, of what embracing all aspects of our community and celebrating and relishing in those things, I see this as a wonderful example of that.
Come on.
How do you follow that? I think that, no, it's so yes and. Inclusive leadership is one where there is intentionality. And I mean, I don't mean to check boxes, that's intentionality. I mean, really authentically intentional about the choices you're making. And making sure that in fact your team is representative of the community. How many times have I walked into a leadership room and it does not look like the community? And we should be asking ourselves, what is going on?
Right.
It's, I hate to say it, but the future is female, the revolution is female. The future is also going to be led by us.
Right.
If we don't know what's coming,
Right.
we're going to be the ones who have to lead on this. So I love that we have an event with such intentionality around it to celebrate the 30th anniversary. How lovely is that?
Yeah.
I have a little issue with the word leader. The word leader means somebody's in front that somebody's following. So just with that, I don't know, we need to find a better word. This is a very patriarchal word that in my heart, whenever you are working as a collective and wherever each one is included, is invited, is honored, is not only invited for the picture, so you can look diverse and comply with EDA, but that really you are inviting people because you want to hear what they have to say. The other piece, let's call it leadership for now, is not to leave people as an afterthought. As a Latina, as an immigrant, as somebody with an accent, with this beautiful color and this beautiful hair, usually people don't want to hear what I have to say or what my people have to say because they don't want to hear, I am so sorry, but what you're doing doesn't work, is not appropriate, is not culturally relevant, you are appropriating my culture, our culture, and you are not including people that are also important, people that don't read and write, indigenous people that I never asked, do they like it, does it work, is it effective? So, College for Now leadership will be including everyone, but also honoring every single task, every single talent, every single contribution. That's what matters. It's a lot of work. I am telling you, it's a lot of work. But with that intention, we are dismantling patriarchy.
Now, who wants to be fourth to those three, right? So yes, and. I think the one thing that I would add to this conversation is inclusive leadership is giving others agency. It is not just asking what they think and then saying, oh, I heard you, and moving on. It is actually giving them agency to be part of what they have suggested, to see the results of the ideas that they have, and to hear from everyone, but equally, so that it's not, it's the entree, not the salad before and the dessert after and the side dish. It's making sure that everyone has that agency.
Thank you guys. So the next question is, how do you build and sustain a team that supports intersectionality between feminism and anti-racism?
I'm sure we have some gardeners in the room. I'm a gardener, so raise your hand if you're a gardener. Put some seeds in there, right? So when I think of gardening, I think of a couple of different things. The first is I think of planting what I want and nurturing it and making sure it gets all the nutrients that it needs and the sun and the water and the light. I also think of weeding out the things that I don't want. Now, you would love to think that everything you plant is a wonderful vegetable, beautiful flower, but it doesn't turn out that way. So sometimes what really matters most is that you're weeding out the things that should not be there so that you can protect the things that you want so very badly to nurture and grow. And in our work at Family Scholar House, and I'm blessed to be surrounded by a very, very diverse group of people, but it's hearing from them and making sure that we are nurturing them in their growth and, I'll use the word leadership, in the development of their leadership so that they too can become gardeners of their own.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, you all. Gen X's, like myself, Generation X, baby boomers, that word, intersectionality, we didn't grow up with that. It is, at least for me, when our amazing, and I'm looking at Marcos,
Yes.
our amazing Latinx millennials arrive already with their own agency, and I like that word, with their own agency and their voices saying, you, the elders, because believe it or not, I am an elder in my community. So you, the elders, are not listening because we come from very patriarchal environments. And what happens when Gen X's and baby boomers, we were younger, what would people who say, oh, you stupid girl, shut up, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't have the slightest clue how the world works. Your ideas are not important. Your ideas, you don't know, you're not from this country, go back to Mexico. We don't want you here. So when we talk about intersectionality, it's the ability to understand that we don't understand what it is. That we talk a lot about it, but in reality is how do we invite those perspectives. I said at the beginning, I have the privilege to work in, it's an organization, it's a nonprofit, but it's also an organism, it's a movement where we believe that each one of us has something to say about something. From, in 20 years, from having no staff to having 33 staff now, having people from different identities, different intersectionalities, different generations, different immigration statuses, have given us the opportunity to explore the ways that we want to decolonize ourselves, the way that we want to dismantle racism and discrimination within ourselves. So, intersectionality, it's a word that is very difficult even to pronounce, but I really believe that it is a journey where we, the elders, have to learn not only to let the youth lead, to accompany them, to embrace them, for them to teach us how to be better intersectional leaders.
Yeah.
If I can just spend a minute to talk about something very practical, which is creating, it's practical and it's so difficult, creating a culture where people truly belong. And I think that that's missing so often when we're talking about intersectionality, when we're talking about leadership. If it's a place where people feel like they have to be sanitized, that they can't bring their whole self into the situation, we failed. Let's just acknowledge it. And this is difficult work, but it's worthy work. And so back to something very practical. One thing, leading during a global pandemic and the very just renewed demands for social and racial justice that we're occurring in our community, we're all doing this remotely, it was very important to me in my way as a leader to make sure that I continue to foster this culture, even though we were so far away. And so it meant that actually every single meeting we would have, I'd set aside time in the first 15 minutes to say, let's do an emotional check-in. And I'm creating a safe space where you can bring your whole self virtually to the group. And we know you're struggling with so much more that we cannot see now because we don't spend time together. We want to support you. We want to make sure that you can thrive in these incredibly challenging times, unprecedentedly challenging times. And I do think that by creating those spaces, we can inch our way towards a culture of true belonging. And we can fully bring our authentic selves and celebrate intersectionality.
Well, for me, it's easy because I'm at the helm of a classroom all the time, and so I just teach it. I teach intersectionality to my students, of course. But what I also do is I have several ground rules in my classroom that I operate with, and if students are in my class and they don't adhere to them, there's another class for them. And that's essentially, I don't tolerate argument for argument's sake or playing devil's advocate. A lot of times people want to disguise bigotry and biases under the devil's advocate. I just want to, play devil's advocate about trans identity. It's like, no, right? So that's not happening in my room, so there's another class for you. If you think gay people are going to hell, right, because I'm gay with it, so again, I out myself in every class. If you think gay people going to hell, there's another class for you, right? There's certain ideas that are stupid, and it's okay. Bigotry is stupid. Homophobia and transphobia, those are stupid. Those are things that morons do. And I think that our country especially has an issue with calling something what it is, right? And so it's an opinion or it's a perspective. No, it's just dumb and it's uninformed. And the problem with Americans is they like to be uninformed. That's my opinion. They don't want to know information. And so that's something I also don't like in my class. So I want students of all identities and perspectives to be embraced, to be seen, to be heard, and to invite hate mongers into the class who try to disguise hate speech with devil's advocate and I just want to trouble this idea, right? Which is seen as a traditionally academic thing, and it's also seen as very scholarly, but it's white supremacist in nature. It is also a way to erase queer people and trans folk, and it's a way to make students feel silenced or that their identities are literally up for debate. So I just don't play none of that. It's not smart. Higher education is about taking us higher in our consciousness level, not taking us down to the level that these dummies are at, right? We think about this legislative session and these fools who have been elected by the constituents of our city who are making hateful, hate-monger bills to pretend that they're doing their job, right? So this idea that, let's harm trans children because that's the issue, not child poverty, not child hunger, not child abuse, right? I think we're, third in the whole entire nation for that, right? So to me, what's harming the kids, right? It's certainly not trans folks. But these dummies get on TV and they're dumb. I mean, it's just, again, this is what I mean. A fact is a fact. Do you see? There's no debating. It's not about people, people who can be formally educated, that doesn't mean they're not a fool. Right. And so this is the kind of perspective I give in my room. And it allows people of all backgrounds to feel right at home with me. Because the things that I don't tolerate in line with stupidity, again, white supremacy, patriarchy, misogyny, trans misogyny, sexism, I mean, whatever you want to say or whatever you want to call it, I want to teach against that. I want to move my students beyond that. I want to allow them to empower their own self with the information. I'm having students come to me whose parents have completely cut them off financially, emotionally, and spiritually just because they're queer. I've had students where they don't get their parents' tax ID numbers to go to school because they've come out as trans to them. These are what the students that I teach and what they're dealing with, right? Students in poverty, students who are working 12-hour shifts and then coming to classes back to back just so they don't have debt. when they graduate. So I'm keeping in mind the things that are actually happening with young people and the things that they're navigating and going through, and I guess showing up in that way for them. I would say that it's not this kind of traditional academic space, but I've been in several traditional academic spaces that all brought me harm because they weren't invested in allowing me to be my whole self. So in my women's studies feminist space in undergrad, they didn't like the fact I brought up race, or black girls, or black women. And again, this is the early 2000s. Nobody has any idea about Kimberly Crenshaw or intersectionality. And my conversation was divisive. And all the white girls who thought they were feminists were scared because I brought up race all the time, and I was so angry, right? So that was my undergrad experience. Then I get to grad school, and people are telling me, well, being gay and being a feminist isn't being African, right? Because I go to Temple, which is a flagship black studies. And so I'm made to feel that I don't fit in that space either. And so what I do in every space is take it over, and everybody ends up changing their mind. And now, right, we're in 2023 where all of these things are buzzwords and acceptable, but in the late 90s and early 2000s, I literally had to carve out my own space. And these folks, right, people who call themselves professors, people who call themselves campus leaders, people who were supposed to work in student support services, all gave me this advice to silence myself, to be quiet. So why do you have to say you're gay every 5 minutes? I mean, that's your personal business, right? I mean, like all this kind of stuff. Oh yeah, right? So all of that just to me was, you a dummy, I'm smart, and I'm gonna just keep doing how I'm doing, and I'm doing pretty good. And I think that helps when it comes to understanding someone else's multifaceted identity. So I've lucked out in the sense that I have multiple identities at once in my embodiment, and so it gives me a particular insight to injustice and also what liberatory praxis or freedom looks like. And it doesn't look like what's happening in the legislative houses across the country, not just in Kentucky, and it doesn't look like a fully all-white, straight feminist program. It doesn't look like a homophobic and anti-feminist black studies program, right? It looks like what we needed to be. So in those ways, that's how I see intersectionality and feminist thinking moving us toward and forward in better and greater ways.
Perfect. I wanted to say really quick, just your comment. As a student, I have checked some professors for the stuff they said. I've checked students openly for the stuff they said. And I'm proud to say I'm pansexual.
I know,
I'm here
right.
for it.
I say it all the time.
And I'm here for it. Yeah. But the next question is, how do you fail up in leadership? What happens when you feel that you and your team have made a mistake, and how do you overcome that?
First is like accountability, and not the whole like retreating, like, oh, well, maybe you misunderstood what I was saying, or I'm sorry that your feelings got hurt, right? All of that kind of language is a projection of not being accountable and not owning the mistake. And it puts it off on the person who's seeking redress or seeking some accountability. And so definitely to be accountable, not this retreating, like, oh my God, I didn't mean it like that, and I'm so sorry you took it that way. Like all that language that we use is really, really problematic. So I think transparency, accountability, and the acknowledgement of the transgression or the mistake, and a plan of action forward and how to respond to the mistake, and how to like make up for it, if you will, or if that means a policy change, if that means adding language to certain things, or taking away certain initiatives or programs, I think in that way, but owning it in that sense.
Owning it and being willing to have some very uncomfortable, vulnerable conversations, right? So again, back to the whole, can you bring your whole self? Is it a culture of belonging? Because by default, status quo is it's not, we put up defensive walls, and we're not willing to just acknowledge that we're human. And hopefully we are growing and progressing. Certainly all the people in this room want that. So besides accountability, being willing to be a bit vulnerable and saying, yeah, you know what, I'm human. That means I'm messy, I'm not perfect, I make mistakes all the time, and I'm willing to learn and grow. I don't really know, unfortunately, I wish we were perfect. Maybe ChatGPT will be perfect for us. But until that happens, we're just gonna keep being human and figure it out together.
My question for everybody, what does a mistake mean? For people that are colonized, 530 years of colonization where we are made to believe that we are the problem of the world, that everything bad that happens, people are losing their jobs because immigrants are coming to lose their jobs. You are making a mistake because you didn't listen to the white man that tried to tell you what to do and you say no. You said, no thank you, we don't want your charity because we deserve opportunity and investment. So let's define mistake. Something that we do in our team that we are very good at is about self-reflection. When someone makes a mistake, gets confused, says the wrong thing, has not a good day, how can we look at each other with grace? Because we already are believing that we are at fault, that we did something wrong, that we are making mistakes. Because how dare you change an organization not to follow the rules of organizations, the rules of how to work in community, in collective. So that's a mistake. You don't have a strategic plan? How do you survive? You don't have the why, right? So that's my question. What is a mistake? Who tells us we are making a mistake? Like if we are offending someone, if we are discriminating someone, if we are racist, if we are homophobic, if we are patriarchal, that's a mistake. That's not even a mistake, that's a sin. If we take advantage of the poor and exploit the poor or other people that we believe are the poor, well that's a mistake. But besides that, we are all human. So taking any mistake with grace and having the opportunity to tell myself, wow, this is a great opportunity for me to grow. Or somebody that is younger that hasn't gone through the process of like, what are you talking about that I'm making mistakes every day? To say, how can I accompany you today for you to have a moment of growth? What did you learn from this opportunity? Instead of, I'm going to write it in your evaluation and then I'm going to give you an assessment for something that you did on January 10th at 10 a.m. in the morning. So I really believe that the whole narrative of how we make people of color feeling guilty, women feeling guilty, and anyone that doesn't have all the privileges that we have in our hand, that is an opportunity for all of us as a community to grow, to change the perspective of mistakes, punishment, and you are canceled.
So when I think about this, I think largely about our work at Family Scholar House, and we have worked diligently to create a blame-free environment. Now, we're not perfect. We get it wrong sometimes. But the focus is on fixing whatever happens. So when I think about a mistake, I think about a project that went wrong or something that you tried that didn't work out the way you thought it would. And it's about saying, that didn't work out the way I thought it would, fixing it, and then coming up with a new idea. When we hire from really large corporations or really large educational institutions, we sometimes find that the people that come in say that they get that, and then the first time they try something that doesn't work out, they spend a lot of time, maybe days, figuring out how it wasn't their fault before they realize we don't care. We don't care whether it was your fault or what we care about is what did we learn? Did we fix it? Have we put in place a different way to do it going forward? And once they get that, they are liberated to be far more creative and innovative than they've been in the past. When you know that you won't be in trouble for trying something different, you're able to try lots of things that are creative and different. That's the space we need to live in. That means we have to ascribe to accountability, not blame. We can't worry about what you did on January 10th because that shouldn't be an issue. But we have to focus on these things as a team and look at how are we doing the best together and for each other in that process.
Thank you. So the last question, we have about 2 minutes left. So the last question is, how do you manage self-care being the leaders in your community?
So I love this expression self-care because I think that puts it on you to decide what it is that you need. And as an employer, I need employees that can say what it is they need. But I also need to create an environment in which that is welcome. So what one person needs may be very different from what someone else needs. We're going to bring in massage for everybody when we've got people who really don't want to be touched. You have to look at what is the individual need. I try to model it the best I can. I am not a good model for self-care. That's not me. And I'll own that. There's a lot of growth opportunity for me in that. But I want to make sure that everyone, not just our staff, but the people that we care for at Family Scholar House, feel comfortable expressing what it is they need to take care of themselves. And what could go a step further? What do they want to take care of themselves, and how can we help them with that?
That is a very deep and long conversation, but to make the long conversation short, I come from a community where self-care means selfishness, laziness, and a privilege for the white and men. That's what my generation, where I come from, taking care of oneself without thinking of others is something wrong. That's where intergenerational love came along, and we started talking about collective care. I cannot pretend to say, okay, today I'm going to take a self-care day and leave all my coworkers with my big stuff and they don't know what to do. Or taking advantage, okay, so we are in self-care talk, okay, so bye, good luck to you, let's see if you finish, because I need to take care of myself. If I don't take care of myself, no one else does. So for us, the conversation of I want to take care of myself, but I also want to take care of the collective. So how do we do it together? How do I take care of you? How do I take care of you? How do I take care of myself? And how do I decolonize that idea that I have to be a servant and that I have to be ready for whenever something comes and let anyone do whatever it is with my time and my work and my talent. So when we do it collectively, when we talk as a community, and when we see that others really need to take, some self-care, how do I collectively accompany that? So that person eventually will come and accompany me. So that is a concept that we struggle every day. Because some of the members of our team, some of our members of our circle have grown in an environment where self-care, without looking at people that have been working since 6 a.m. in the morning and haven't stopped at 6 p.m., but are not going to complain, are not going to stop, are not going to take care of themselves. So the conversation is looking at myself, at how tired I am, how much I need, but also looking at my sisters, looking at my siblings, looking at my brothers. Do they also need self-care? How can collectively create an environment where we don't look at ourselves as the only individual of the world and out there, but that I am part of something greater where I take care of myself and I take care of others? We are going to do much better, and the load of the work is not going to be that heavy.
I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because this is a question I'm wrestling with personally right now. So as I mentioned in my intro, I keep stumbling over it because I've been so used to saying that I'm Chief of Civic Innovation for Louisville Metro Government for 6.5 years. That's going to stop in April. And it is very strange to have this thing that has centrally been part of my identity just stop. So as we talk about self-care, I am wrestling with this question of, am I even putting too much pressure on myself to figure out what self-care looks like? And I hope that there are people who relate to that in the room who say, wait, one more thing that I have to worry about. Knowing even though I'm also confronted with the reality that I am deeply tired and it is time for a break. And what a privilege it is and a luxury to be able to take one, but to try very hard not to put pressure on myself to figure out then what that self-care looks like. I don't know. I don't have the answers. I just know I need to rest without being idle, right? I don't want to be selfish. I want to still be involved in the community. Goodness. No good answers, but if you are feeling pressure on what self-care looks like for you, know you're not alone, and you don't need to add that to be one more thing on your plate to figure out. Well, letting go of that is a way to take care of yourself.
All right. Yes.
Wow. Yes to what's been said thus far. And I totally get where Karina's coming from. The idea that, especially for women, that self-care is right. Selfish and self-absorbed, but Audre Lorde said, self-care is not indulgence, it's not selfishness, it is an act of war in the sense of if we live in an anti-woman, anti-black, anti-queer world, then one of our safest and most assured resistances to that kind of stuff, to the fatigue, to the struggle, to working on behalf and for community folk is to prioritize yourself. And I can also understand where you're coming from in terms of adding that to the list. Now I gotta think of how am I supposed to relax, now I gotta do this, I gotta go to this meeting, I gotta feed the baby, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta garden, right? And now I gotta do some self-care. So it seems like, it seems like you're adding a whole bunch of stuff to the list, and especially if you don't know what that looks like for you, right? But I've really tried my best to incorporate it as much as I can because I just need that recovery. Us as folks who are talking all the time in our jobs, right? We talk all the time. That's exhausting. And so even if there's a community event happening on the weekends, sometimes I forgo those things because I literally just need to lay down, right? I'm not having no bubble bath, I ain't got no bath bomb, I'm literally sitting in front of the TV like this, watching Spectrum. I ain't even watching that, I'm too tired to watch the movie. Oh yeah.
Cam in my house.
Yeah, so it's something where I've tried to be just as intentional about the way that I show up for others in terms of being that intentional about the ways that I show up for myself. And it's a struggle and it's hard. But it's so, I think, vital and necessary. So some of the things that I do is one, saying no in a gracious way. Because a lot of times when I say no, I want to be at the event, I want to be at the program, I want to speak on the panel. But then I'm just too tired, and when I look at my calendar, this is really going to wear me out. And I won't even show up as my best self. I'll show up as my fatigued self, right? And those things over time lead to health issues and things metabolically in our body. And we know that we hold stress in our bodies. All of these things are connected and related. And so I try my best to go for walks with my hubby. He requires them, but it's also really fun. I mean, he is somebody. And I know he's a dog, but he's totally human being. And so his name's Denver, and he's the best. But, and my wife would kill me if I'm sitting up here talking about my dog. But he brought me such joy because what he does is he reminds me of all of the treasures in life. Just because it's sunny out, it's a celebration. Just because there's a butterfly, celebration. It's grass, celebration. And so it reminds me to, one, not take myself too seriously, to not take this life that I'm living too seriously, and to enjoy all of those different things, So just trying my best to intentionally spend time with my wife, spend time with my dog, and even if that means we're sitting there, not even talking, but just laying down. I told you, I need to lay down. So laying down, travel. I'd like to think of self-care, but traveling now is such a hassle, and so that adds to it. But once you get to the destination, then it's so trying to my best to at least have one vacation a year, a couple of days, that need to be 2 weeks, and try to spend as much time with my dog, my mother, and And my loved ones, I'm sorry. So,
That's all right.
And I've become more intentional. I'm so sorry, very embarrassed.
No.
My dad, he passed away, so it'll be about a year that he passed away in April, this April. And the thing that I keep going back to is that, oh man, I was on this panel, I was at this community, I could have been spending time with my father. And I'll never get that back. And so, spending time with elders and loved ones, like, fuck these jobs, you know what I'm saying? I get it, we have to have a check and we have to live and survive with it and we need benefits and stuff, but sometimes, sometimes you just say fuck it. Fuck the task, the expectation, the demand on your spirit and your energy and your time, to the detriment of your own loved ones and the folks that you hold dear, the folks that made you. So I just encourage you all. I get that it's difficult to imagine what that might look like and how it might feel pressure-filled to establish that for yourself, but it's important and it's necessary, especially in the kind of work that we do up here and that we all do in this room. Working for and on behalf of a community is fatiguing and it's exhausting and it's hard. It's hard emotionally and spiritually. And so I encourage everybody, not just the panelists, to take that time for yourself and for your loved ones. And even if that just means laying down, but just being intentional about relishing in you and what you do for and on behalf of, and you're just as important as all those folks in the community, all those people that need help, all those people that need guidance, all those people that need whatever. You yourself are just as important as a steward for those things, for those communities. Because how is the community going to benefit if we're gone? The thing I always think about is all of these kind of Black feminist foremothers whose legacy I stand on in terms of all of their writing from, Audre Lorde, Beverly Smith, Patricia Bell. I mean, folks literally, these Black feminists literally died when they were 50-something years old. And a lot of it had to do with the fact that self-care wasn't an option, self-care wasn't a priority, so they weren't going to doctors, they weren't getting their checkups, they weren't saying, let me just lay down, because the community needed them, the people needed them, the kids needed them, right? And now they're gone. So it's just something to make sure that focusing on yourself to ensure that your needs are met emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, are just as important as all the other people's needs that we meet, right? And that we help out. So, yeah. That's wonderful.
Yep. Amazing panel! In celebration, yes. So we will give these out, and I'm not gonna take that time. Anything that you experienced today, please, if you tag us online at the U of L Women's Center, #UofLWC30. And also remember to do the evaluation and learn more about these amazing panelists and our student scholarship, the Angie Allen Scholarship and the Breonna Taylor Scholarship for students from the nursing school still pulling out her name. We're going to have a group shot, and then we're going to have the Women's Center staff, our founding staff and director come up after we have our group shot, and then we have a lovely performance at the end. So we love that you're staying with us. We're going to rock it out with a group shot. All right, we're going to have Women's Center staff and past directors come up. All right. And we're about to wrap it up with a performance. But before we would like, as you can see, we have the founding director. Everybody give a round of applause. So just a few words, any words?
I don't think any of us who were around 30 years ago ever thought we could be this wonderful. So thank you, Giovanni, as the greatest person ever to lead us to the next time. So it's great. It was a great journey, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you all.
All right, if I can bring it back for our last performance as we synthesize all these learnings. All right. So we will bring this to the close. We thank you all for being here, and we have Sherry Durham.
Clap once if you can hear me. Clap twice if you can hear me. Okay, bring it back. Again, I'm Sherry Durham. I am the Assistant Director of the Muhammad Ali Institute for Peace and Justice. The purpose of the Muhammad Ali Institute for Peace and Justice is simply to advance social justice work through educational programming, training, service, and research. And one of the entities that is a part of the Muhammad Ali Institute is the Muhammad Ali Scholars Program. I'm going to wait for Giovanni. She's reeling everybody in. We ready? Okay. One of the entities that is a part of the Muhammad Ali Institute, as you saw earlier, is the Muhammad Ali Scholars Program. And Edison Pleasance, who is one of the students who moderates this panel, I'll use her as an example for the purpose of the Ali Scholar Program. We serve mainly as a platform for students who want to be advocates of social justice. So, for example, one of the things that Edison wants to do and what she has created was a mentorship for low-income Black and brown kids in JCPS. So she piloted her mentorship program at Manual, and now she has started a second program at Central High School, which is, okay, Central, I'm gonna love this, okay. So that just gives you an example of some of the work that our students is doing, and I have no idea how I'm supposed to get up here, Giovanni, and follow behind that panel and Dr. Stories. I hear you, and I hear you. So thank you for giving me with those words of encouragement and that wisdom for self-care. So we'll jump right into it. We are so grateful that you were able to come out with us and celebrate this 30th anniversary tonight. So next up, we have Kayla Washington, who's going to ground us with a lovely song for our spirits, our shared mission, and our past and future, collective future. Kayla Washington is the product of a military family, but she calls Louisville, Kentucky home. She completed a Bachelor of Music degree at the University of Louisville and a Master of Music in Flute Performance at Miami University. As a first-year doctorate student at the University of Louisville, Kayla's primary research interests are the intersection of arts and health and the health of women in the military. Please learn more about this amazing artist in today's program, refer to your program to learn more about her. Let's welcome Kayla to the stage.
I'm Kayla, and I'm going to be performing two short pieces for you. The one is Dance de la Chef by Arthur Unador, and the second is Image by Eugene Boatzen.
Thank you.